live, and today we are going to be continuing the fourth book of Sherlock Holmes, the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. And that story is Silver Blaze. The first chapter is Silver Blaze. And I'm just stream. Apparently, my was resized overnight. Okay. Hope everyone's doing well, and I apologize if anyone can hear the lawnmower outside. Apparently, it's lawn mowing time. But yeah, I think it's getting picked up. I apologize for that. But nothing really I can control. So last time we discovered that there was a murder of a horse's trainer, and the horse went missing. That happened on Monday or so, and Tuesday Sherlock Holmes was notified or saw it in the paper or something. And he's like, well, it's the most famous horse in England or whatever. I don't really care about it. Someone's going to find it. It's really hard to hide a famous horse. So he didn't do anything Wednesday, but Thursday rolled around, and Sherlock Holmes was surprised to learn that the horse was still missing. So then he decided to take up the case. We go to the house, or the hello. I'm just giving a brief rundown of what we had gone through last time. So they go to the place. They discover that there was this trespasser on the grounds, and he chatted up one of the servants and one of the maids, I think it was. And it looked like that he had poisoned or at least drugged one of the servants to leave the gate open. So in that way, the horse disappeared. But the trespasser, kind of a well-known person, like he's a gambler, he lives nearby, so he's been jailed, but he claims that he hasn't done anything wrong. Hello. He was trying to get privy information about the races and the horse themselves, but he didn't kill the trainer. He didn't steal the horse, he claims. So because of all this, Sherlock Holmes is coming around. And a couple other important people. The wife, Mrs. Straker, but just woke up in the morning to discover that her husband was gone. He had left earlier in the night to double check on the horses because he was feeling anxious or nervous about something. Not much else going on. Didn't stream yesterday, so we're catching back up. We're going to be finishing up this chapter today, hopefully, in this story. So Sherlock Holmes just met with Colonel Ross, the owner of the horse who has gone missing, and he says, yeah, we'll find the horse. You can include your horse in the race for the next week or tomorrow, whenever it is. So certainly not, cried Holmes with decision. I should let the name stand. The colonel bowed. I am very glad to have had your opinion, sir, said he. You will find us at poor Straker's house when you have finished your walk, and we can drive together into Tavistock. So out on the grounds, Holmes noticed that there was a scuffle. There was a fight, lots of markings on the ground, mud, footprints in the mud and so on. Uh, Straker had a Straker was bludgeoned to death, or at least with a blunt object, and he had a cut in his leg that looked to be from a knife, but he was also holding a knife, so it's possible it was self-inflicted. The person who was following, like creeping around looking for secret information about the horses, did not have any injuries upon him. So that is one mark in his favor, at least, because there was a fight. All right. He turned back with the inspector, while Holmes and I walked slowly across the moor. The sun was beginning to sink behind the stables of Mapleton, and the long, sloping plain in front of us was tinged with gold, deepening into rich, ruddy browns where the faded ferns and brambles caught the evening light. But the glories of the landscape were all wasted upon my companion, who was sunk in the deepest thought. "It's this way, Watson," said he at last. "We may leave the question of who killed John Straker for the instant, and confine ourselves to finding what has become of the horse. Now, supposing that he broke away during or after the tragedy, where could he have gone to? The horse is a very gregarious creature. If left to himself, his instincts would have either to return to King's Pyland or to go over to Mapleton. Why should he run wild upon the moor? He would have surely been seen by now. And why should Romani kidnap him? These people always clear out when they hear of trouble, for they do not wish to be pestered by the police. They could not hope to sell such a horse. They would run a great risk and gain nothing by taking him. Surely that is clear. Where is he, then? I've already said that he must have gone to King's Pyland or to Mapleton. He is not at King's Pyland. Therefore, he is at Mapleton. Let us take that as a working hypothesis and see what it leads us to. This part of the moor, as the inspector remarked, is very hard and dry, but it falls away towards Mapleton, and you can see from here that there is a long hollow over yonder, which must have been very wet on Monday night. If our supposition is correct, then the horse must have crossed that, and there is the point where we should look for its tracks. We had been walking briskly during this conversation, and a few more minutes brought us to the hollow in question. At Holmes's request, I walked down the bank to the right, and he to the left, but I had not taken 50 paces before I heard him give a shout, and saw him waving his hand to me. The track of a horse was plainly outlined in the soft earth in front of him, and the shoe which he took from his pocket exactly fitted the impression. "See the value of imagination," said Holmes. "It is the one quality that Gregory lacks. We imagine what might have happened, acted upon the supposition, and find ourselves justified. Let us proceed." We crossed the marshy bottom and passed over a quarter of a mile of dry, hard turf. Again the ground sloped, and again we came on the tracks. Then we lost them for half a mile, but only to pick them up once more quite close to Mapleton. It was Holmes who saw them first, and he stood pointing with a look of triumph upon his face. A man's track was visible beside the horse's. "The horse was alone before," I cried. "Quite so. It was alone before. Hullo, what is this?" The double track turned sharp off and took the direction of King's Pyland. Holmes whistled, and we both followed along after it. His eyes were on the trail, but I happened to look a little to one side, and saw to my surprise the same tracks coming back again in the opposite direction. "One for you, Watson," said Holmes, when I pointed it out. "You have saved us a long walk, which would have brought us back on our own traces. Let us follow the return track." We had not to go far. It ended at the paving of asphalt which led up to the gates of the Mapleton stables. As we approached, a groom ran from them. "We don't want any loiterers about here," said he. "I only wish to ask a question," said Holmes, with his finger and thumb in his waistcoat pocket. His finger and thumb in his waist. Oh, okay. "Should I be too early to see your master, Mr. Silas Brown, if I were to call at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning?" "Bless you, sir, if any one is about, he will be, for he is always the first stirring. But here he is, sir, to answer your questions for himself. No, sir, no. It is much as my place is worth to let him see me touch your money. Afterwards, if you like." As Sherlock Holmes replaced the half-crown which he had drawn from his pocket, a fierce-looking elderly man strode out from the gate with a hunting crop swinging in his hand. "What's this, Dawson?" he cried. "No gossiping. Go about your business. And you, what the devil do you want here?" "10 minutes' talk with you, my good sir," said Holmes in the sweetest of voices. "No time to talk to every gadabout. We want no strangers here. Be off, or you may find a dog at your heels." Holmes leaned forward and whispered something in the trainer's ear. He started violently and flushed to the temples. "It's a lie," he shouted, "an infernal lie." "Very good. Shall we argue about it here in public, or talk about it in your parlor?" "Oh, come in if you wish to." Holmes smiled. "I shall not keep you more than a few minutes, Watson," said he. "Now, Mr. Brown, I am quite at your disposal." It was 20 minutes, and the reds had all faded into grays before Holmes and the trainer reappeared. Never have I seen such a change as had been brought about in Silas Brown in that short time. His face was ashy pale, beads of perspiration shone upon his brow, and his hands shook until the hunting crop wagged like a branch in the wind. His bullying, overbearing manner was all gone too, and he cringed along at my companion's side like a dog with its master. "Your instructions will be done." "It shall all be done," said he. "There must be no mistake," said Holmes, looking around at him. The other winced as he read the menace in his eyes. "Oh, there shall be no mistake. It shall be there. Should I change it first or not?" Holmes thought a little and then burst out laughing. "No, don't," said he. "I shall write to you about it. No tricks now, or, 'Oh, you can trust me, you can trust me.'" "Yes, I think I can. Well, you shall hear from me tomorrow." He turned upon his heel, disregarding the trembling hand which the other held out to him, and we set off for King's Pyland. A more perfect compound of the bully, coward, and sneak than Master Silas Brown I have seldom met with, remarked Holmes as we trudged along together. "He has the horse, then?" He tried to bluster out of it, but I described to him so exactly what his actions had been upon that morning that he is convinced that I was watching him. Of course you observe the peculiarly square toes in the impressions, and that his own boots exactly corresponded to them. Again, of course, no subordinate would have dared do such a thing. I described to him how, when according to his custom he was the first down, he perceived a strange horse wandering over the moor. How he went out to it, and to his astonishment at recognizing, from the white forehead which has given the favourite its name, Silver Blaze, that chance had put in his power the only horse which could beat the one upon which he had put his money. Then I described how his first impulse had been to lead him back to King's Pyland, and how the devil had shown him how he could hide the horse until the race was over, and how he had led it back and concealed it at Mapleton. When I told him every detail, he gave it up and thought only of saving his own skin. But his stables had been searched? Oh, any old horse faker like him has many a dodge. I don't know what that means. But are you not afraid to leave the horse in his power now, since he has every interest in injuring it? My dear fellow, he will guard it as the apple of his eye. He knows that his only hope of mercy is to produce it safe. Colonel Ross did not impress me as a man who would likely to show any such mercy in any case. The matter does not rest with Colonel Ross. I follow my own methods and tell as much or as little as I choose. That is the advantage of being unofficial. I don't know whether you observed it, Watson, but the colonel's manner has been just a trifle cavalier to me. I am inclined now to have a little amusement at his expense. Say nothing to him about the horse. Certainly not with your permission. And of course, this is all quite a minor point compared to the question of who killed John Straker. And you will devote yourself to that? On the contrary, we both go back to London by the night train. I want to pause here for a second because this cavalier mood or cavalier attitude, I did kind of pick that up early